Lane Hunt Correctional Center on March 25th, 2026. Good morning, Warden. Would you and your staff introduce themselves?
Hey, Ward Chad Darmo. Assistant Ward Darius Grady.
Crystal Bond classification.
Thank you for hosting us this morning. And we have before us Mr. Jenkins. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself to the board? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
Ma'am, my name is Mark Jenkins. My number is 310-009.
So that's what I have. Mr. Jenkins, you're here this morning seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in Orleans Parish and St. Bernard Parish. Your first sentencing date, April 1992 for armed robbery. You received an 8-year DOC sentence. Then in February 1998, you received a life sentence for a first-degree murder conviction. Mr. Jenkins, is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman. I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins, good morning.
Morning, sir.
First off, tell me, what did you do to get yourself put in prison? And then why do you think you've changed enough for us to let you out today?
Sir, I mean, do you want it in detail? My crime?
Now, pretty detailed. I mean, I want to make sure that you talking about what you did. I don't want it just in broad terms.
Well, sir, well, I killed a man, sir. I took a man's life unintentionally, but I took it all the same. I tried to rob a man and I beat him up. A fight ensued, and I panicked and I grabbed a knife from the kitchen counter and I stabbed him and I ran from the house. Later, I found out that Mr. Hetterell had died from his wounds.
Okay, tell me about the armed robbery of the Domino's driver. Tell me what happened there.
Back in '91, I was 17 years old. Some friends and I were out messing around, drinking, and we decided to pull a prank. We beat a Domino's delivery guy up and we joyrided in his car. But we were found in Miami, Florida.
Good ride. Okay, right. Were you on supervision when, were you still on for that armed robbery when you committed the murder?
Yes, sir.
Okay, were you up to date on your supervision? Were you seeing your officer?
No, sir. At that time, I had done relapsed on drugs and I was homeless. I had stopped going to my AA meetings, my parole meetings.
Okay.
I had reached rock bottom.
Okay, well, I'm gonna get back to some more basic questions. But now we're gonna hear for those that are here on your behalf. Miss Selena Latchney. Wait, first off, Warden, do you have anything to tell us?
Oh, yes, sir.
Or, sorry, Chad.
That's all right. I'd like to say he's a level 3 trustee currently. Since arriving at Elaine Hunt's, he's received 5 DV reports. He hasn't had any DV reports since 2022. He's completed heavy equipment operator. He's a mentor at Box 7 and hasn't had any disciplinary in almost 4 years.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay, now we'll hear from Miss Selena Latchney, your fiance.
You can stay so they can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Latchney. Tell us what you want us to know about your fiance.
Yes, sir. I've known Mark since we were a child, since childhood. Relevantly around, I guess, I'm about 3 years older than him. We kind of like went separate ways as in childhood. Mark had a rough childhood. He had mother was a was on drugs, father was on drugs in and out of prison, and we just went our separate ways. I knew about Mark's conviction, and around the time Mark's conviction happened, I lost a son So I wasn't, too worried about what was going on in Mark's life at the time. Back about 5 years ago, Mark contacted me, when I was desperately in need of having someone to be there for me, because I went through a real bad, marriage, and it was very bad. Today, Mark is different from the man that was left the streets in 1996. I've seen his accomplishments, change for the better. I come and visit him here, and I just see so many people speak so highly of him, and, talk about all of the good things that he has done since he's been at Elaine Hunt Correctional Center. And, I've seen the change in him personally. He has a personal relationship with my children. He has a personal relationship with my grandchildren. And, our relationship is very, very good. Today I just ask that, y'all look at his case, look at his records, and see the good that he has done since he's been here, and, see if y'all can have it in y'all hearts to, give him the second chance that he has earned.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Okay, now we hear from Mr. Kerry Myers at the Parole Project.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project, here to let the board know we are in support of Mr. Jenkins' recommendation for clemency. Mark's whole life, if looking at his packet, you can see that it's been shaped by trauma. As a child with addicted parents growing up, he had literally no role models to teach him, to lead him. And he certainly struggled most of his life. He has spent a significant portion of his life in incarceration, and even struggled through his early days of incarceration. But he's not just sat idle. He's earned his GED. He is a heavy equipment operator. Which makes him very much employable. He's been a facilitator of Celebrate Recovery, not only address his addictions, but helping other people address their addictions. So we just ask this board to consider these factors and recommend his clemency today.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Myers. All right, now we're going to go to the opposition, Mr. Edward McGowan, DA.
Thanks to the board, and good morning. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity. My name is Edward McGowan on behalf of the Lynch Parish District Attorney's Office, speaking in opposition to this application. I think this application presents some of the obvious causes for concern that we can all see from the record. This was a first-degree murder committed while he was on parole for another violent, brutal crime where he robbed and severely beat a man. You'll hear more about that later. The time spent on this most recent conviction for first-degree murder is about 30 years, which again is about a decade shy of the maximum for manslaughter conviction. And again, this is a first-degree murder conviction. And so the time spent is, again, falls very short of the full term for a manslaughter conviction. And his disciplinary record while incarcerated is significant. Right? He has cleaned it up in the last few years, but that is a fairly new pattern. The more substantial pattern across the first 26, 27 years of incarceration has been one complaint, one infraction after another. But all of that is more or less patent on the file that y'all reviewed. What concerned me when I reviewed it was that the file indicated that the NOPD file, the full investigation file, had not been provided to the board, only the arrest warrant. And that were the only facts y'all had to go on other than the statements of the defendant itself. I wanted to point out to y'all that I could not get the DA's file from closed files so quickly, but the reported Fourth Circuit opinion in this case, affirming his conviction, provides a much more detailed account of what happened the night of the murder that Ms. Jenkins committed. And it highlights the intentionality and the brutality of this crime. First thing to note, and again, we know that because in addition to highlighting in the course of the trial and the record that was perfected at the Fourth Circuit with the Supreme Court denying writs later, we know about the investigative steps that were taken, and we know what the defendant's statement was at that time by his own account. First, this was a targeted and intentional attack. The defendant, by his own admission, encountered the victim in the French Quarter and then decided to accompany him home under the ruse of some acquaintanceship. That house, they did not go around the corner. That the house for the decedent victim was well over a mile away, at least, depending on where you are from the French Quarter. It's past the Claiborne overpass. And so I'm out this morning from the nearest corner of the French Quarter, and that still is over a mile away. That's either a really long walk or you got to go find your car and go around and get over there. This was a cold and calculated targeting of an individual, an easy mark that he intended to do harm to. The second thing is in the defendant's own words. He just said this was an unintentional killing. But the defendant provided a statement in the course of the law enforcement investigation that gave a very detailed account of how they went back together to this house, how they both undressed and got into the bed together. I'm not going to go through all the details, but this was at some point he disengaged from what was otherwise what was going on in terms of the bedroom and being in there. He took a knife from the victim, stabbed him. When that knife broke, stabbed him with a bigger knife that he had in the kitchen. And this was a brutal attack. Not only were there at least 4 stab wounds, deep stab wounds, and multiple other cuts and lacerations all over the man's body, the abdomen, the head, the back of the head, the face. He was beaten so severely, the medical examiner surmised possibly having his face smashed into a hard object like a counter on the floor, that his airways would have filled up with blood. He drowned in his own blood. He would not have been able to cry out for help. This is not an unintentional killing. This was a brutal attack that was intentional and targeted. And again, the brutality is remarkable. Some other things from that statement that are interesting, that even then, the defendant was mitigating and minimizing his culpability there. He said that, among other things, he apparently had to break out of the house that was locked from the inside. The detectives found no evidence of that. And that, I think, also is a bit of minimization from way back when. And he also claimed that the defendant was yelling at him as he left. Again, that is contradicted by the medical examiner's testimony that this man was bleeding from within, and his sinuses and airways were filling up with his own blood before he died. Highly unlikely. So we have, in addition to the reasons and the causes for concern that are evident from the record, are the defendant's statement here being a study in minimization and deflection for the gravity and the brutality, intentionality of this attack. I believe strongly that this mitigates against the clemency application that has to be denied. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Sir.
Miss Gina Holland, St. Bernard Parish Sheriff's Office.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Lieutenant Gina Holland. I'm with St. Bernard Parish Sheriff's Office. I was the case detective back in 1991, I believe, when I arrested Mr. Jenkins for his, what he called a prank on the pizza man. Well, the prank the pizza man was working after hours, delivering pizza, trying to make ends meet because he had a 2-year-old. So he was trying to make extra money. So the prank pulled off by Mark Jenkins and his friends turned into lifelong misery for the Travis family. This man, he was beaten in the head. He's never been the same. It has affected his wife. It has affected their child. So this didn't just prank the pizza man and move on. After he pranked the pizza man, he stole his car, drove to Florida, as he said. And when he pulled over to the side of the road for some kind of car issue, I believe they ran out of gas, a Good Samaritan stopped to help him, and he hit him in the head with a tire iron. So this second chance to me does not add up. We're like on maybe the fourth chance. And although Mr. Jenkins probably truly believes that he could be different if he were to be released, when he was released the last time, it didn't take him very long to kill the man in the French Quarter. So I struggle to believe that as a law enforcement officer that although he probably believes he can be different, I struggle to believe that. So I think it's pretty obvious when he served at the time on the case that I worked, the armed robbery of the pizza man and the vehicle theft and the attempted murder. He served, I believe, 8 years and then he got out and committed further crimes. So given his violent history and in the interest of public safety, considering whether or not he framed Mr. Jenkins, please consider that he's potentially a danger to society.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's all.
Also appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins, what kind of classes have you taken since you've been there? Did you take victim awareness?
I've taken every class, EAC has to offer. Not only have I taken them, but I've taken it upon myself to also facilitate and lead several of those classes. Sir, I feel like I've missed an opportunity to say something. See, I came in here today, first and foremost, to hold myself accountable for my actions. My action first and foremost of taking a man's life, taking Mr. Hetterell's life, for hurting people like Mr. Travis, for hurting people like their families, because the implications are far-reaching, sir.
Yes, sir. You're right.
In
But
AANA, there are 12 principles, 12 steps, if you will, that an addict like myself must live by, must apply daily to his life to maintain his sobriety, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
step 8 is made a list of all people we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Step 9 is made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so because injury to them or others. So I'd like to apply step 9 today,
Okay.
if I may.
Okay.
To Mr. Prevett Hetterell.
No, to us now. You got to talk to us.
Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you personally. From what I've learned over the years, you were a good man with struggles of your own. You were reaching out for companionship, I suppose. And that quest was met with violence because of an angry young man. And I am so sorry for what happened to you, for the things I did. I'm so sorry that you lost your life. To Mr. Randy Travis, sir, I was a delinquent young man on drugs, blowing wherever the wind took me. And I'm so sorry for what happened to you. To the families of these victims, I'm so sorry. I can understand that you still feel the rawness of your pain even now today, 30 years after the fact. I understand it because I carry it myself. I carry it myself knowing that it was me, by my actions, you lost something precious to you, and I'm so sorry for that. But know this, I am not that man. That man was a man in pain. That man was a man in anger. That man was someone under the influence of drugs, homelessness, confused, immature. That's not the man who sits before you here today. This man here has dedicated his life saving lives, to turning lives around, so helping other people overcome addiction. That's who I am today. And I thank you for an opportunity to speak with you.
Okay, all right, let's see. Okay, I see that you're a hospice volunteer. That's good. We appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
And also I'd like to note that the DA is strongly opposed. They still feel that you're a danger to society. That was listed in the investigation and also stated here. What all the contraband charges? You have 196 write-ups. And
Yes,
a
sir.
ton of them are for contraband. Was that drugs, cell phones? What was it?
No, sir. When I came to prison, I didn't have anyone with me. In other words, I didn't have the support of family or friends. And I had one heck of a habit, a $50 a day heroin habit. And so I had to come up with a hustle, a way to make money to support my habit. And so I began sticking tattoos. And most of them contrabands are for tattoo paraphernalia.
Okay, so if it was for tattoo paraphernalia, that means that you were still doing drugs in prison.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all the way up till 2008, 2010, 2014, 17. So it looks like you ain't quit using drugs in prison until 8/3/22. That was your last contraband charge.
No, ma'am. No, sir. I quit using drugs in 2017 and I relapsed in 2022.
Yeah.
Several months.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Mr. Jenkins, I think that concludes our interview. We're prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
My vote is to deny. Way too many disciplinary write-ups. I need to see a much longer period of time without him using or relapsing, and due to the heinous nature of the crime and the effect it had on the people, my vote is to deny.
Mr. Tillis?
My vote is to deny, and I concur with Mr. Freeman.
Mrs. Stapleton?
I agree with Mr. Freeman and the heinous nature of both crimes. We had an armed robbery where a person, beat him up with a 2x4, and then of course you killed the other man. So you had two victims.
Mr. Prater?
I concur to deny, but I want to tell you, I think that I took to heart your meaningful victim statements, what you said about accountability, and I took that to heart, and I believe you are sincerely apologetic for any harm that you caused, but that still doesn't undo it. And so my vote is to deny.
And Mr. Jenkins, I do agree. Concerned about your conduct record. I do appreciate that you seem to have turned the corner in that regard. Since 2022, we've heard very strong opposition here today from law enforcement and the DA's office. So today, my vote is to deny your application. So the vote is unanimous, sir. Your application's been denied.